Hello and welcome to another amazing documentary from our true history, The Watchers, Fallen Angels, Solved.
If you are new to my videos, you'll be thinking, why can this unknown person solve with evidence what no one else has done? That's because I've already solved many mysteries with evidence. I've been doing this for over 40 years and have been called the foremost expert. I'm not on TV, but that doesn't make my research any less impressive. For example, here are just some of the mysteries I've solved, which you can go and watch the documentaries right now from my website, ourtruehistory.co.uk. I have shown who Yahweh really was. I have shown Adam and Eve were on a spaceship for the first 24 years of their life. I have put out the evidence that Jesus' father was not who you think he was. I have shown what Valhalla was. I have shown the mark of the beast already happened. I worked out that the Greek god Kronos was not Zeus' father, and I show who he was as an Anunnaki, and so much more. Now on with this video.
First, we need to see what the words fallen angels and watchers mean. This is what mainstream will tell you. The terms fallen angels and watchers originate from ancient religious and mythological texts, primarily within the context of Jewish, Christian, and Islamic traditions. Here's what they generally mean. Fallen angels refers to angels who are cast out of heaven for rebelling against God or failing to fulfill their divine duties. In Christian theology, the most famous fallen angel is Lucifer, who is often associated with Satan. These angels are depicted as beings who defied divine authority and were punished by being expelled from heaven, becoming associated with evil or corrupt forces in the world. The concept of fallen angels is found in various religious texts. In Christianity, the fall of Lucifer and other angels is depicted in Isaiah 14:12, 15, and Revelation 12. 7, 9. Fallen angels symbolize rebellion, sin, and the consequence of turning away from God. They are often depicted as agents of chaos or temptation. The Watchers. The Watchers are a specific group of angels mentioned in ancient Jewish texts, particularly in the book of Enoch, an ancient Jewish text not included in the canonical Bible. They were sent to watch over humanity, but ended up becoming corrupt. According to the book of Enoch, the Watchers descended to earth, lusted after human women, and fathered a race of giants called the Nephilim. Their actions were seen as a violation of divine law, leading to their punishment. The term watchers comes primarily from the book of Enoch and other ancient Jewish writings. These angels were tasked with observing humanity, but fell into temptation. The Watchers are associated with a story of divine beings falling from grace by becoming too entangled with the earthly realm. They are often connected to themes of corruption, forbidden knowledge, and the mixing of divine and mortal beings. Some people think they are same, and I'll explain later if they are the same, but here's mainstream view. Fallen angels and watchers are related concepts, but they are not exactly the same. Here's a breakdown of their relationship and key differences. Fallen angels are a broad category that includes any angel who was cast out of heaven for rebelling against or disobeying God. The most well-known example is Lucifer, who is often equated with Satan after his fall. Origin: the idea of fallen angels is found in various religious traditions, especially in Christianity, where it refers to angels who followed Lucifer in rebellion. The Watchers are a particular group of angels mentioned in the book of Enoch and other ancient Jewish writings. They were tasked with watching over humanity, but ended up disobeying their divine duties. The Watchers' fall happened because they lusted after human women and fathered the Nephilim, a race of giants. Their transgression led to their punishment by God. The Watchers have a specific narrative and role in ancient Jewish texts, primarily the book of Enoch. While the term fallen angels can apply to many angels, the Watchers refer to a distinct group with a particular story of disobedience. The Watchers, after their transgression, are considered fallen angels because they were punished and cast out of their divine role. However, the broader concept of fallen angels includes many other angels, such as Lucifer, and those who followed him, who rebelled against God for different reasons. The Watchers' fall was tied specifically to their lust for human women and the resulting Nephilim, while other fallen angels, like Lucifer, fell due to pride, rebellion, or other reasons. Now we can look at what my research shows. Remember, if you've seen my other videos, you know the Bible has been changed many times. Let's first look at the fallen angels.
But if we look at the word Lucifer, it was added to the NIV Bible in 1978. The reason is because the correct wording from Young's literal translation is, "How hast thou fallen from the heavens, O shining one, son of the dawn? Thou hast been cut down to earth, O weakener of nations." As you can see, it doesn't say Lucifer. Shining one, son of the dawn, is a literal rendering of the Hebrew term Helel ben Shachar. In many English translations, this has been rendered as Lucifer, a name derived from the Latin word for light bringer or morning star. However, YLT avoids using the Latin term and sticks to a more direct translation of the Hebrew words. The Hebrew Bible was written before Latin became a widely spoken language, which means to use the word Lucifer from Latin would be wrong because it's a name made up way later. If you watch my documentaries on Satan and Lucifer, you'll see the original names were adversary, meaning the people that wrote the Bible didn't name them. It's like me saying there's a criminal, and they way later you making up a name for him. Remember the words son of dawn was in the Young's literal Bible? While son of the dawn is unique to Isaiah 14:12, the imagery of the morning star or shining one can appear in a few other places in the Bible, though not in the exact form as found in Isaiah 14:12. Revelation 22:16, YLT, refers to Jesus as the bright morning star. "I am the root and the offspring of David, the bright and morning star." 2 Peter 1:19, YLT, also uses the term morning star, "until day may dawn and a morning star may arise in your hearts." Did you see that? Until day may dawn and a morning star may arise in your hearts. That's not even talking about a person. So we have go with adversary. Remember, this is what the fallen angels represent. Fallen angels symbolize rebellion, sin, and the consequence of turning away from God. They are often depicted as agents of chaos or temptation. The question is, are there any mentions of the word fallen angel in ancient texts? No, I can't find any, and that's because it was a term used way later after the actual events of the fallen angels. Just like we have the words Lucifer and Satan and Holy Trinity, these were all added later. What would be the connection, if any, to the Anunnaki and the fallen angels?
Was there a group of Anunnaki that turned their back on the main god, Enlil? Remember, I've proved with evidence that the Anunnaki were the gods in the Bible, and that Enlil was called the Most High, same as the Bible. In Mesopotamian art and literature, gods were sometimes described as possessing aura or brightness, just as it mentions in the Bible. Mesopotamia was where the Anunnaki gods settled when they arrived here from their planet. There are 3 main stories from before the Bible about a group of people that were against Enlil at that time. The first group, called the Igigi, these were the sons of the Anunnaki. Anunnaki were the older gods. Remember, their race name is gods. So the Igigi were the younger ones. While the precise linguistic breakdown of the word Igigi is unclear, Igigi is typically thought to mean something like those who watch or the watchers, though this translation is not universally accepted. Some scholars propose that the term could be derived from the Akkadian or Sumerian language roots associated with celestial or sky deities. The Igigi were tasked with mining and being on the away station on Mars, called Lahmu, where they would watch for their planet to come around, then transport to the gold from Lahmu to their planet. You have probably worked out the Igigi were the watchers, but I'll go into more detail later. So the first time the Igigi had issues with Enlil, at one point rebelled against their laborious tasks under the Anunnaki. Here is the translation from the tablet in the British Museum called Atrahasis. For 3,600 years, they bore the excess, hard work, night and day. They groaned and blamed each other, grumbled over the masses of excavated soil. Let us confront the Chamberlain, and get him to relieve us of our hard work. Come, let us carry the Lord, the counselor of gods, the warrior from his dwelling. Come, let us carry Elil, the counselor of gods, the warrior from his dwelling. Then Aliyah made his voice heard and spoke to the gods, his brothers, gap of about 8 lines. Come, let us carry the counselor of gods, the warrior from his dwelling. Come, let us carry Elil, the counselor of gods, the warrior from his dwelling. Now cry battle, let us mix fight with battle. The gods listened to his speech, set fire to their tools, put aside their spades for fire, their loads for the fire god, they flared up. When they reached the gate of warrior Elul's dwelling, it was night, the middle watch. The house was surrounded. The god had not realized. It was night, the middle watch. Acre was surrounded. Elul had not realized. Yet Kalkal was attentive, and had it closed, he held the lock and watched the gate. Kalkal roused Nusku. They listened to the noise of the Igigi. Then Nusku roused his master, made him get out of bed. "My lord, your house is surrounded. A rabble is running around your door." "Elil, your house is surrounded. A rabble is running around your door." Elil had weapons brought to his dwelling. It carries on, but as you can see, this was a rebellion against the main god.
But that was only one time those Igigi rebelled. But hang on, I hear you're saying, why even talk about the Igigi when an angel is a floating thing with wings? The word angel comes from the Greek word angelos, which means messenger. The term was used in both the Old and New Testaments of the Bible to describe spiritual beings who serve as messengers or servants of God. In Hebrew, the word for angel is malak, which also means messenger. The idea of angels as messengers or intermediaries between the divine and humanity is a common theme in various religious traditions, especially in Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. I've already done videos showing the Anunnaki were the first to use messengers. They used them just like the Bible says, between God and humans. Let's look at some ancient text where the Anunnaki used messengers, also known as angels. Ninurta's exploits, a Sirsud to Ninurta C. 1, 6.2. The hero. Ninurta led the march through the rebel lands. He killed their messengers in the mountains. He crushed their cities. He smote their cowherds. Enmerkar, and the Lord of Arata C. 1.8.2.3. Come, Enmerkar, I shall offer you advice. Let my counsel be heeded. I shall speak words to you. Let them be heard. Choose from the troops as a messenger one who is eloquent of speech and endowed with endurance. Where and to whom shall he carry the important message of wise Inanna? Let him bring it up into the Zubi Mountains. Let him descend with it from the Zubi Mountains. Letter from Sarumbani to Susuin about keeping the Martu at bay. C. March 1st, 15. I sent a messenger to the province of Murub. The attitude of the province has altered. I will not neglect to build the fortification. In fact, I am building and engaging in military action at the same time. You get the idea. But at the time the Igigi first rebelled, they were not messengers, they were workers. There were no humans here at that point. In fact, that first rebellion was what caused Enki to create the humans. The question then is, what about the other two times they revolted? Were they messengers then?
The second time the Igigi rebelled was when Anzu, grandson of Alula, here in the Lost Book of Enki, it talks about Anzu and the Igigi.
The Anunnaki spoke and carved creatures like this for any Anunnaki they didn't like. You will remember in the Bible is talks about a serpent. Yes, that was an Anunnaki.
The removal of the Enlil ship in his heart he conceived, to rule Igigi and Anunnaki was his aim. Unsuspecting Enlil at the entrance to the sanctuary, Anzu let be stationed. Unsuspecting Enlil left the sanctuary. For a cooling swim, he went away. With evil purpose, Anzu the tablets of destinies seized. In a sky chamber he flew away. To the mountain of the sky chambers he swiftly went. There, in the landing place, rebellious Igigi for him were waiting. To declare Anzu king of earth and Lamu they were preparing. It goes on to talk about some of the Igigi helping Anzu against Enlil. But were they angels at that point? No. Homo sapiens had now been created, but there was no Homo sapiens sapien, the modern man, the one that could talk and was allowed to be kings. This came way later. So let's look at the third time the Igigi went against the main god Enlil. This time there were humans and there were messengers. Could this third time be what the Bible talks about when it mentions fallen angels? Here is the translations from tablets in the Columbia University that are owned by the Rothschilds and were translated by George and Ryan Moore Henn.
The Igigi migrated from Lamu to Earth in great numbers. Only 1/3 of the population survived on Lamu, and 200 were taken to Earth. They said they were required to attend the wedding of their chieftain Marduk. Enki and Enlil were unaware of their plan, which consisted of conjugation. Numerous Igigi on Lamu gathered together, unknown to Earth's authorities. "What Marduk authorized is also ours, and it must be maintained," they said to each other. "Enough of sorrow and loneliness, never have children." This was their motto. The Earthlings' daughters, also known as Adapite females, were often seen during their travels between Lamu and Earth. They beheld them and lusted for them, and the conspirators whispered to one another, "Let's marry Adapite women and have children." Shamgar, the name of their commander, was one of them. "Even if no one else agrees, I shall carry out the action." He told the others that if punishment was imposed for this transgression, he would face it alone on your behalf. Others in the scheme joined them separately, and they swore an oath to carry out the plan. By the time of Marduk's wedding, 200 guests had arrived at the landing site. They dropped onto the vast platform of the Cedar Mountains. They traveled to Eridu, passing through regions where Earthlings worked, and arrived with the Earthling population. After Marduk and Sopanit's wedding ceremony, Shamgar signaled the others. Each Igigi kidnapped a young woman from Earth and brought her to their landing site in the Cedar Mountains. They established a foothold there and challenged the leaders. "Enough with the deprivation and childlessness. We hope that the Adapite girls will wed. You must bless this, or we shall burn the whole planet to the ground."
So the sons of the older Anunnaki took human women to be wives. What does Young's literal Bible say about this? "And it cometh to pass that mankind have begun to multiply on the face of the ground, and daughters have been born to them. And sons of God see the daughters of men that they are fair, and they take to themselves women of all whom they have chosen. And Jehovah saith, My spirit doth not strive in man, to the age. In their erring they are flesh, and his days have been 120 years. The fallen ones were in the earth in those days, and even afterwards, when sons of God come in unto daughters of men, and they have borne to them, they are the heroes, who, from of old, are the men of name. And Jehovah seeth that abundant is the wickedness of man in the earth, and every imagination of the thoughts of his heart only evil all the day. And Jehovah repenteth that he hath made man in the earth, and he grieveth himself unto his heart. Just to help you out, I'll change the words with the words you'll understand. And it cometh to pass that mankind bred a lot, and had many offspring, and daughters have been born to them. And Igigi see the daughters of men that they are fair, and they take to themselves women of all whom they have chosen. And Enki saith, My spirit doth not strive in man, to the age. In their erring they are flesh, and will only live to 120 years. The Igigi will outlive them by hundreds of thousands of years. The bad Igigi were in the earth in those days, and even afterwards, when the good Igigi come in unto daughters of men, and they have demigods with them. They are the heroes, who, from of old, are the men of name. And Enki seeth that abundant is the wickedness of man in the earth. Enki could see man had evil in his heart, and should write 10 commandments for the humans. And Jehovah was sad that he hath made man in the earth, and he grieveth himself unto his heart. Well, now, let's look at the Watchers. Where does that word fit in?
This is where the Watchers were mentioned in ancient texts. The Book of Enoch, 1 Enoch, also known as the Ethiopian Book of Enoch, is the most important text mentioning the Watchers. It describes the Watchers as a group of angels who descended to earth, led by an angel named Semyaza, sometimes spelled Simjaza, and took human wives. This act resulted in the birth of the Nephilim, a race of giants. The Watchers also imparted forbidden knowledge to humanity, such as metallurgy, sorcery, and astrology. The key sections of 1 Enoch that mention the Watchers are found in the Book of the Watchers, chapters 1-36. The Book of Enoch was a significant text in early Jewish thought and was influential in early Christian literature, though it is not part of the canonical Bible for most traditions, with the exception of the Ethiopian Orthodox Church. Please remember the name Shamgar from the translations by the Moorhen, where Shamgar was the leader of Igigi. The Book of Jubilees, another Jewish pseudepigraphal text, expands upon the story of the Watchers. Like Enoch, it discusses the angels who fell from heaven because they took human wives and had offspring, the Nephilim. The Book of Jubilees also addresses how these angels taught forbidden arts and caused corruption among humans. The Book of Jubilees is sometimes called Lesser Genesis and was considered authoritative by some Jewish sects, such as the Essenes, who preserved copies of it among the Dead Sea Scrolls. The Dead Sea Scrolls, discovered in the mid-20th century near the ancient settlement of Qumran, contain fragments of texts that mention the Watchers. Some of these scrolls refer to the Book of the Watchers from 1 Enoch, or include commentary on the fallen angels and their offspring, the Nephilim. These scrolls confirm that the story of the Watchers was an important part of Jewish religious thought during the Second Temple period, around 516 BCE to 70 CE. Another ancient Jewish text, known as 2 Enoch or the Slavonic Enoch, also mentions the Watchers. This text, though less well known than Enoch, describes the fall of certain angels and their corruption of the human world, similarly to Enoch. Enoch was likely written later, around the 1st century CE, and also describes various levels of heaven, including one where the fallen angels reside. The Book of Giants is an ancient Jewish text, often found among the Dead Sea Scrolls, which tells a story about the offspring of the Watchers, the Nephilim, or giants. The text describes the giants' destructive behaviour and how they were punished by God. While the Book of Giants is a fragmented text, it shares many details with Enoch, including the role of the Watchers in corrupting humanity and the eventual destruction of the Nephilim by the flood. Talmud and Midrashic texts. Jewish rabbinical literature, including some Talmudic and Midrashic texts, also makes reference to the sons of God in Genesis 6 and connects them with the Watchers and the Nephilim. These references often interpret the actions of the angels as sinful and destructive to the human world, reinforcing the moral lessons drawn from these ancient stories. If you have watched my other videos or read translations, you'll know the Igigi used chariots to fly around in, same as the angels. Messengers used. From all my research, it shows the Nephilim were the children from the Igigi and human women. Some of their children had gigantism. Not all. I'll be doing a video documentary deep dive on this. The ones that had gigantism were called Nephilim. To me is clear that both the fallen angels and Watchers were the Igigi, the sons of the gods. Please note that the original Hebrew Bible talks about the gods over 300 times in the 1200 pages of the Bible. Yet, any version other than Young's literal version has the words gods mentioned only 150. People are being misled, and it's not me doing it, I'm trying to put it all back straight. If you've liked this video, please remember I've got thousands more of these documentaries covering so many subjects. Bigfoot, crystal skulls, time travel, Stonehenge, Easter Island, and so much more. Thank you for watching. Our truehistory.co.uk.